All right, everybody, welcome back. I'm so excited for this one. We're going deep into a topic you probably never thought you'd be fascinated by.
Dumpster rentals in New York City.
Dumpster rentals in New York City. It might not sound like the most glamorous thing in the world,
Yeah.
but trust me, it is absolutely packed with drama.
It really is.
We're talking about like a service that is absolutely essential for a city that is constantly rebuilding itself right.
Yeah.
But it also creates a whole host of problems.
A whole web of problems.
And today we're going to like untangle all of that.
Yes.
We're going to look at the pricing and why these things cost so much.
The pricing is fascinating.
Oh, it's wild.
Yeah.
We're going to look at the permits and all the bureaucracy around that.
A lot of red tape.
And then the environmental impact of all this waste.
The environmental piece is a big one.
And then just the neighborhood nuisance of having these things.
Oh, yeah. They can be real eyesores.
Yeah. So let's just jump right in. First of all, the cost.
Okay.
I was blown away when I saw these numbers.
Yep.
A small dumpster in New York City.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we're talking like the smallest size you can get.
Right.
Can run you anywhere from like $300 to $800.
Yeah. It's really expensive.
That's more than some people pay in rent.
I know. It's crazy, right?
So what is going on here? Why are these things so expensive in New York City?
Well, there are a lot of factors at play here. One of the big ones is the cost of living in New York City. Like everything else, it's just more expensive to do business here.
Right. But is that it? Like, are we just blaming it on high rent again?
Well, no, I mean, it's not just that. There are other costs, too, like the fees associated with using transfer stations.
Transfer stations.
Yeah, basically, they're these middlemen between the dumpster and the landfill.
Oh.
They have to process the waste and everything.
Right. So there's like a whole hidden layer of expenses that we don't even see.
Right, exactly. And then you have to factor in the cost of labor, fuel, insurance, all that stuff.
Right. But couldn't other cities with high costs of living
Mm-hmm.
figure out a way to keep dumpster rental prices lower?
It's a good question. Some people argue that the problem in New York might be the market itself.
What do you mean?
Well, if a few big companies control most of the market,
Hmm.
that can limit competition and keep prices high.
So we're getting squeezed on both sides.
Pretty much. Yeah.
Okay, so that's the pricing piece of it.
Yeah.
Now let's talk about the permits.
Oh, the permit.
Like getting a dumpster on your street in New York.
It's a whole ordeal.
It's like running a marathon, right?
It's a process.
You got to file applications, provide site plans, deal with like a million different city agencies.
So many agencies.
And if you mess up or you don't get all your ducks in a row,
Big fines.
huge fines, like $5,000 fines.
Yeah. It's no joke.
I mean, I guess it makes sense though, right?
Yeah.
Like, New York City is so densely populated.
Extremely dense.
If everyone could just put a dumpster wherever they wanted, it would be chaos.
Total chaos.
But still, it seems like a lot of hoops to jump through,
It is.
especially for like smaller contractors or homeowners who just need a dumpster for like a week. I don't know. It just seems like there's got to be a better way.
Well, some people have suggested streamlining the application process.
Okay.
Like maybe moving it all online.
Yeah,
Others have talked about offering discounts for shorter-term rentals.
that makes sense.
So there are definitely ideas out there.
Okay, so we've got the costs, we've got the permits. Now let's get to like the dirty part,
Let's get dirty.
environmental impact.
Yeah.
I was actually pretty surprised to learn that a lot of these dumpster companies aren't really doing much in terms of recycling,
It's true. A lot of stuff that could be recycled ends up in landfills.
which seems kind of crazy considering New York City has all these goals about reducing waste.
Huge goals.
Yeah, like increasing the landfill diversion rate.
Mm-hmm.
So why not just make recycling mandatory for all dumpster rental companies?
I mean, it sounds like an obvious solution, right?
Yeah.
But there are some concerns. Some people argue that it would make the whole process more expensive, which would mean higher prices for customers.
Right.
Plus, there's the issue of contamination.
Contamination.
Yeah, if people throw the wrong stuff in the recycling bin,
Oh,
it can actually mess up the whole batch.
I didn't think about that.
So it's not as simple as just mandating it.
Okay, so how do we make this whole thing more sustainable?
Well, some experts think we should focus on incentivizing companies to recycle more,
Like how?
maybe through tax breaks or subsidies.
Okay.
Others think we need to encourage people to reduce their waste in the first place.
Yeah, makes sense. Less waste, less to recycle.
Exactly.
So we've talked about the cost, the permits, the environmental stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Now let's talk about the impact on actual neighborhoods.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not just about what's going into the dumpster. It's about the dumpster itself being kind of a nuisance.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Like imagine you walk out of your apartment building and there's this giant metal box taking up the whole sidewalk.
Right. And it's probably smelly in.
And who knows what's leaking out of it?
Exact.
Plus, you've got the noise from the garbage trucks.
Oh, yeah, those are early morning wake-up calls.
Not fun.
Not fun at all.
And then there's the whole problem of illegal dumping.
Oh, yeah, it's a big one.
People see an empty dumpster and they're like, free for all.
It's like a magnet.
And suddenly you've got like a mountain of trash.
It's a mess.
It's a mess.
Yeah,
And it's not fair to the people who live there.
definitely not.
So are there any solutions to this?
Well, some neighborhoods have actually started taking matters into their own hands. There was this one neighborhood in Brooklyn where they started a dumpster watch program.
Dumpster watch.
Yeah, they take pictures of people illegally dumping and report them to the city.
Wow, that's pretty hardcore.
Yeah, they're serious about keeping their neighborhood clean.
I like it.
And some people have also proposed creating designated dumpster zones.
Designated dumpster zones.
Yeah, kind of like loading zones for deliveries.
Oh, okay.
So the dumpsters aren't just randomly placed wherever.
Yeah, I can see how that would help.
Yeah, it could minimize the impact on residential areas.
All right, so we've talked about all these problems with dumpster rentals in New York City.
It's a lot.
We've got the high costs, the complicated permits, the environmental impact, the neighborhood nuisance.
It's complex.
It's a mess.
It is.
But is there any hope? Like, are there any solutions that could actually work for everyone?
Well, there are definitely some promising ideas out there.
Okay, tell me more.
One suggestion is to lower permit fees.
Okay.
The idea is that if it's cheaper to do things the right way,
Mm,
more people will actually get the permits.
that makes sense.
And then there's the idea of mandatory recycling programs.
Right, we talked about that.
Yeah, it's controversial, but it's definitely on the table.
And then there's this thing I read about called smart dumpsters.
Smart dumpsters.
Yeah, what are those? Like dumpsters with Wi-Fi.
Well, not quite.
Okay.
But basically, they would use technology to address some of these problems.
Okay.
Well, for one thing, they could have sensors that monitor the fill level.
Okay.
So the companies would know exactly when to empty them.
So no more overflowing dumpsters.
Hopefully not.
And no more waking up at like 5 a.m. to the sound of the garbage truck.
Exactly.
I like that.
Yeah, and some smart dumpsters could even have GPS tracking.
So you could track where the dumpster is at all times.
Yeah, which could help with optimizing placement.
Yeah.
Making sure they're not blocking traffic or anything.
So less disruption for everyone.
Right.
All right. Well, this has been a fascinating deep dive.
It has.
I mean, who knew that dumpster rentals could be so complicated?
It's more than meets the eye.
Right. It's like this little window into all the complexities of city life.
Exactly.
And I think that takeaway here is that there are no easy answers,
Definitely not.
but there's always room for improvement.
Always.
And maybe, just maybe, we can find ways to make this whole dumpster situation a little less, well,
a little less messy.
a little less messy.
Yeah.
But what do you think? What are some solutions that you would like to see? Let us know, because we want to keep this conversation going. This is something that affects all of us. So let's work together to make things better.
Let's do it.
All right, everyone, thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time for another deep dive.
See you next time.
Bye.
Bye.